Joining us now is Neema Ghazi from Johan Promotions. Thank you for joining.
Oh, happy to be here, thanks.
All right, first, I want to present viewers with what is the business of Johan Promotions?
Well, Johan Promotions is a 54-year-old company based just outside of Philadelphia that handles the distribution of sports programming to the commercial marketplace. The commercial marketplace is bars, restaurants, sports books, and casinos. And some of our partners include the UFC, WWE, ESPN, Netflix, and every major boxing event that you can name.
You also have like big chains that you guys are working with out there,
We do.
right?
So when we look at the ecosystem, there are these bars and restaurants that are independents and others that are franchises. The Buffalo Wild Wings of the world, the Dave & Buster's, just to name a few. And so there's that segment of the customer, and we've got long-standing relationships with them. They count on us as advisors for content, and we try to bring in meaningful content that we know moves the needle for them on any given night. And then we have content partners like the UFC, WWE, Netflix, where we're really helping to drive and elevate their profile within the commercial marketplace, knowing that there's a brand building exercise in that, there's a revenue center, but ultimately having that presence in bars and restaurants really elevates what they're doing, residentially and what the overall offering is.
You mentioned some big places out there, but are there any other opportunities or any other sports or chains out there that you might want to target as potential partners in the future?
There's a lot of interesting sports, but the reality is not all of them are fully mature, and even ones that are may not be commercially viable. And what I mean by that is it may not be something that's appointment television in a commercial setting. You might not grab your buddy and say, hey, we got to go see that. And for the sports that register that way, we want to be in a position to be able to distribute that content for bars and restaurants. We want to listen to their goals and objectives and see if that is appropriate for what they're looking to advance. So we're really instrumental, I think, on that front because we provide a level of exposure that a lot of these brands just can't unlock on their own. Because their focus may be more on, residential subscriptions or their product in a slightly different way. So commercial is really additive to the entire marketing and promotional exercise that they'll go through.
I feel like I'm writing about the shifting media landscape every 5 seconds in this role. How has that particularly impacted your business? I'm talking about streaming. I'm talking about just the changes to pay-per-view in recent years.
There's no doubt. In the last 24 months, you've seen really meaningful pay-per-view content sit now behind a subscription paywall. Well, that's great for the residential subscriber. There's a lot of added value that's unlocked in that. That's meaningful, and I don't want to dispute the fact that that is a trend and one that's likely to continue. But as far as the commercial exhibition of these events are concerned, the way they're treated hasn't changed much. They're still premium events that warrant a premium rate, and there's a business proposition there. The bars and restaurants pay that license fee to exhibit those events, and they really generate a lot of revenue for them. So that's good for our business in that regard because we've got best practices, we've got distribution that covers 95% of the country, either through satellite or digital, or some version of cable in some instances. And so that's really the calculus when we look at these events. We see where they're going, but where they live ultimately residentially doesn't necessarily inform how they're distributed through commercial. They're still treated as premium one-off events or premium packages that warrant premium rates.
All right, headed into 2026. What is one big sports media story that has your attention?
Well, I'm all over the news. I'm reading everything that you are writing, and I appreciate it. But I think the thing that jumps out the most is Paramount. And they were very aggressive in the rights for the UFC. They've annexed a bunch of other things. They'll sit behind the paywall, but they're not done. They're very aggressive, that group. And there's talk even today of an acquisition of Warner. That is really meaningful. And by the way, there's also been discussions for the last 2.5 weeks about potentially TikTok. So if all these things come together, I'm really interested to see what that media conglomerate looks like. They could just redefine the media landscape as we know it. So watching that really closely, like what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, just don't know how it's all going to break.
I'm sure there are a lot of big sports operators out there that would love to see TikTok in the hands of a venerated place like Paramount Skydance, so definitely one that I'm going to be watching as well. Neema Ghazi, Johan Promotions, appreciate you jumping on with us.
All right, thanks so much.